farm belonging to George Plett lies about 6 miles behind the center of Spanish Lookout as the crow flies. 3 miles of the cultivated farmland actually borders Guatemala. That line of trees right there is the border. On Thursday, George Plett's son Roger was on a tractor on fire duty. This isn't an actual road. It's a fire break which protects Plett land from fires caused by the arid conditions.
I was in the tractor when suddenly there was 10 military persons and about 5 people in civilian clothing. They came running out of the forest, and the military, they surrounded the tractor, and the one person in civilian clothing, he started beating his machete against the side of the tractor door, yelling in Spanish, telling me to get out of the tractor. Me, for fear of my life, I didn't try to run with the tractor. I climbed out of the tractor. When I climbed out of the tractor, the military men, the men in camouflage clothing, they came and surrounded me. The guy in charge, he then pushed me towards the forest, telling me to walk. And so I started walking towards the forest, towards the Guatemalan side.
Plett was taken from this spot here, just feet from the borderline on the Belizean side, and marched into this large tree line and then on into hostile territory.
One of the military guys, he shoved me on my back and said, "Run." I didn't comply right away because I did not understand why I was supposed to run. He shoved me again in the back and I said, "Run." So I started running. When we came out of the smoke, I saw there was another 15 to 20 military persons and the next, I'd say roughly 20 people in civilian clothing. There was around 5 of them with like a sand-colored overcoat, and they had a logo on the side. Since everything was written in Spanish, I couldn't quite make out what it said. I know it said something about forestry and preserve that it said on there. I recognized the logo on one of the vehicles they had there. So when I came through the smoke, one of the guy in charge, he's a lighter skinned man, he grabbed me on my left arm, and I knew this was going to be trouble for me, so I pulled out my phone and I called Mano Ayala, my coworker, and I managed to get the call through before the guy took the phone away, and so I knew that once I got through to him that he would notify the correct people.
Plett's phone was taken away at that point, and he says he knew he was in real trouble when he heard the men talking about tying him up.
The lighter-skinned guy in charge, he told the military to tie my hands behind my back. So the guy took his black rope off of the shoulder and tied my arms behind my back. They then led me a little further into this road that they had that led further into Guatemala. They had a smaller red Toyota pickup, a bigger 4x4 Toyota pickup. They had a gray Toyota Hilux and a white Toyota Hilux. So they walked me into this road and leaned me against the vehicle, and they started questioning me, asking me who the owner of the land was, who I worked for. They asked me for my name. They asked who the owner of the tractor, who the owner of the bulldozer was. But I just kept telling him I was an employee. I didn't know anything. I couldn't help them with any information. And so then the guy in charge told the military, the men dressed in the Guatemalan military clothing, to load me up on the vehicle when it came in. So they started walking me further along the road, and I asked the guy, "Why do you have me tied up? Why, where are you taking me?" And the guy, he told me, "Someone has to take the fault for this. Someone has to be of blame for the fire."
Plett explained to them that they were fighting the fire and were not responsible for it, but was told that he would be loaded up into a truck and taken away. He had to think fast at that point.
Then I came to the idea, I will tell them I'm a Canadian. I then told him, "You know what, I'm a Canadian." And I told him that I come from Steinbach, Manitoba. That is where my brother and sister live in Canada. I started telling him about the forest fires that they had in Alberta, how they had 2,400 homes burnt down and everything. So they started listening to what I was saying, and they stopped walking me further in. The guy in charge, the lighter skinned guy, he then went back to where we came from, and they sat me down there. I would say I sat there roughly 1 hour before the guy came back. When the guy came back, he had a complete change of heart. He said, "Don't worry, no te preocupes. Don't worry, we will release you once the bulldozer comes in this side and does the work that we want it to do."